All right, it's 6:33, so I'll call the meeting to order. Number 2, we have public comments and no members of the public, so we're going to skip public comments. Number 3, we have agenda review. We are under immediate business going to add an E for correspondence and an F for end of year events. Do you have anything else? No? Anybody else? Okay. Number 4, we have minutes of the previous meeting from March 3rd, 2026 and April 7th, 2026.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it. Does anybody have any edits or anything for those sets of meetings? Sorry. Yeah, we can. Sorry, I can go back. I can mention it then. Do I have to do it? You don't have to do that at the top. Okay, just checking. Does anybody have any edits to those 2 meeting minutes? No. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from March 3rd and April 7th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Ken is abstaining. Okay. All right. We'll move on to 5 for immediate business. For A is superintendent goals review.
I guess this one's kind of in your guys' court.
Right.
I did provide a copy of my goals in the board drive so that you could have them to refer back to. I didn't know if you were looking for anything in particular for me, or if you wanted to just have the conversation for me to bring something back at a later date.
So what I kind of thought and asked you to put it on the agenda for is I wanted you guys to see the goals that Jess came up with, so that hopefully, Carrie, do we still have that draft of the evaluation? So what I was hoping is if we could all take a look at the goals that are already there and take a look at that template so that we could sometime in June see if there's any goals we wanted to add, if we're going to do a mini review this year because it's Jess's first year, or what the board wants to do. I just didn't want to lose track of it. Totally up to you guys. But I thought we would start by looking at what she created for us. Can we get that in the drive?
I can add it. The one you're talking about, the draft from the exec board.
Yes.
From back in the fall.
Okay. Yes.
And this, you guys approved, I didn't change the bottom of the one in there, but you guys did approve these goals in December 15th.
Yep. So I just didn't know how the board wanted to move forward because it is Jess's first year. Are we going to do like a mini review, like mini evaluation? Or are we going to do a full evaluation the first year? Like we're the first board who's going to do this. So I thought I'd put it on the agenda so we could have a conversation. But it'd be helpful to be able to see these and see the draft evaluation form.
My thought, and you guys can agree or disagree with, it's up to you, but my thought was closer towards the end of the school year, like would be our evaluation, like set up a portion of our meeting for an evaluation time. Just kind of
The end of the year or the end of the school year?
The end of the school year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry. End of the school year. Just taking a chunk of one of our meetings and just going through, looking at the goals, and as they sit, and if there's any changes we want to see made to them, or if there's any discussion to be had over the evaluation topics.
Yep. That's pretty much what I was thinking. That way we could. Any thoughts? Or any way you guys want to proceed with it? I just want to make sure that we. We have 2. We do have 2 scheduled in June. right? We would have the 2nd and 16th. I know.
Happening and
Yeah. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you had commented whether it be like a mini review or, and I think based on the body of work so far right now, I think it would be just to do a full review.
yeah.
right?
I think so too, because there's plenty of goals that we've approved. I think that we're in a good spot. I just didn't want us to forget about it going into the next
Yeah.
year and that we're doing it.
I think, yeah, and I think it, to Jess's credit, that it would be fair to do a full review.
Yeah.
Uh,
And do we have anybody have a thought on a process? Are we going to do like a generalized thing and then, I don't know, nobody's done it. Like, are we going to meet with her separately after? Are we going to do a generalized thing and go through the goals in a meeting? What are we doing? As long as I've been on, we haven't done.
Well, we did do something with Patty, and it was, face to face with her,
Okay.
discussing, and she had her goals, and we had gone through and, told us where she was on them, so on and so forth, all through that whole process. So I don't think it's anything that you have to step out for. And,
Okay.
Just get, basically what it boils down to is, okay, we've got our list of goals that are here, and it was like a checklist of, okay, where are you with this? That's done. Where are you with this? That's done.
Okay.
In process, should be finished, at such and such a time, that kind of thing. That's what we've done in the past.
Okay, good.
So if you guys agree with it,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I think you're the only one that's done it.
I'm sure we did this with Patty,
Did we? I don't remember.
and
I think it was discussed, Gene, but we never actually
I remember specifically
There was
going
some
through those
pushed
things.
back on those.
Yeah, because I don't remember it, but thank you. So that works for me. A checklist and looking
Well,
at the dates.
This is your second term, right? Your second year.
I came in December of 20. Fun times. December 2020. When someone left.
Unless I'm, I distinctly remember going through them as a rundown, and thinking that was a good option. And then, there were a couple of things I believe that weren't completed yet,
Okay.
and she came back to us.
Okay.
And it was like that in June, and she came back to us like in August or September, where she had
Okay.
completed stuff like that.
That works. Do it that way. Everyone's good with it? Okay. All right. Thank you. I just want to make sure we talked about it.
I usually don't. It's usually all or nothing. So have something. So that's got to be.
Thank you, Jean. All right. B, we have open enrollment. Any update other than it's probably Thursday, right? That's what I hear.
Oh, for current
Mm-hmm.
proposed legislation. Yeah, Thursday. So Ken, Sharon and I met right before this, about an hour and a half ago, as the policy committee to
Mhm.
talk about some of our policies that we have, and they can
Mhm.
update on that. But walked away with several homework assignments for that. We're putting together kind of mashing two current policies that we currently have into one policy,
Mhm.
and then incorporating open enrollment as part of our regular admissions process.
Okay.
So instead of creating a whole brand new system, it would be incorporating it into our already existing systems for admissions and tuition agreements and things like that. So I will have things to present to you at the meeting for decisions on policies and a procedure to go with admissions for that.
Okay.
And then we can start the rollout process. I'm going to get
Awesome.
some feedback from parents. This will be a helpful thing that I can actually vet this through that group of parents who is interested in
Yes.
feedback. So I can send this to them to actually vet and like look through it, make sure it's easily understandable from a parent's perspective. And then we can get rolling on that.
Thank you very much, all of you.
Whole policy aspect. When do you think you'll be able to roll out the application?
Probably not too long after that our next board meeting in May is my goal.
It's like a good goal. Anybody else have any questions on open enrollment right now? No. All right. C, we have NHSBA resolutions. And we kind of just put it in there just so we could have a conversation. Hang on, I got to get back in the drive because they're due
July, I think.
July if we wanted to put forth anything.
I didn't really have anything that I figured we kind of had our plates full enough with implementing open enrollment.
Yep.
But if somebody had something that they wanted to kind of work as a resolution, I would support that. But I think we've got our hands full right now trying to implement all these new parts.
At the last meeting, I stated mine. For sure. But that's a pipe dream. Yeah, I don't have anything. And not to make light of anything, but a lot of times the resolutions seem to be very district
Mm-hmm.
oriented. Every single one seems to be, specifically pertaining to one district, the district that brought those resolutions forward. And if we don't have anything, I'd almost like them to be more general in the future. I mean, that's, and if it went to the legislature, obviously it's more general. But a lot of this stuff seems kind of nichey, not all of it, but, nichey. That's just my feeling on it. I really don't see anything other than a complete overhaul of the legislature. But anyway.
That is I keep thinking about the healthcare realm as a place where it would be good to maybe signal out that any kind of overages beyond which a school district's already paid, maybe the state could set up some catastrophic fund to aid, and just something along those lines, which collectivizes the problem a bit more. But that's beyond any open enrollment stuff, which is a rabbit hole.
Or even pursuant of maybe the New Hampshire School Board Association advocating for adding health care to the state system for schools, like letting public schools
That's what-
join the healthcare state
Perfect.
system.
Yes, something like that. Yep. I mean,
So
this
the
is-
whole point of the
Right.
resolution is what
Yeah.
you want them to advocate for at
Right,
state.
right.
Yeah.
So
No, Ken, thank you for bringing it
Yeah.
up because we had talked about this.
I
and
just-
I didn't even.
We need to stabilize that front. This is going to be chaos. for
So
the
I don't know
decade
that we've
otherwise.
done that before. So how do you start the process of doing that?
I think it's just a normal resolution, right? So it would be writing resolved that the school board association advocates for.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Because I'm
but
working with
advocates
two
for.
reps,
Yeah.
even though I don't know the whole.
Yeah.
Get it from Jeff,
Yeah.
but I'm working on networking with state reps to try to get bipartisan support to propose legislation for the upcoming year.
Right. So this would be in keeping in some ways with their seeming desire to have, a little bit less local control on something. It's the other side of the coin. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to be putting all of these kind of burdens on us, then maybe something that allows us and doesn't necessarily cost them more money.
Yep.
It's just kind of rewriting the law.
Mm-hmm.
Akin to the retirement.
Akin to the retirement system,
As an optional,
you know,
putting it forth as like an option.
we just have to
And
create a larger pool of every
correct.
teacher and administrator in the state.
I'm for that.
I don't know who writes that and how we write that.
You guys do.
We do.
Yep.
Okay.
We have really smart people. We can do it.
Okay. So we don't have to do this right now.
No.
This is-
No.
July 3rd.
Okay.
They're due. But we can look through the drive at the previous ones and see how some of them are worded and
Yep.
to give us an idea.
Is this similar to what you're currently having these conversations about?
Yes. Yeah, well, I didn't come up with it. The previous Deerfield chair did. But she told me about it and I'm on board with it. So now I'm networking with our state reps and trying to get some of them to come on board to propose it for next year. And I think they told me the deadline's October.
But you have to start that work now
Yeah.
because they have to submit those proposals. So you start talking and like forming ideas now, and then over the summer months, solidify those
Mhm.
sponsorships essentially.
It's a big
Yeah.
year too, because it's a budget year.
Correct.
Yep.
So it's,
Correct.
maybe that works in the
It
favor.
might reduce,
you
right,
know,
it might reduce their
might-
cost
Yeah,
because it's
yeah. Right. Could give them-
And again, this would be a resolution that is not.
Exactly.
It's not district.
Yeah,
Right.
it's universal. And then maybe we can all sign up for it.
I didn't think of it that way. I was kind of thinking that, but I didn't know if you could, you know what I mean? Like some of the resolutions we look through are cut. I didn't know you could.
Just have to.
Right. Pretty much. D, we have surplus and retainage.
okay. So we're getting to the point where you guys will have to make some decisions. If not tonight, definitely by our first meeting in May. But wanted to provide you a little bit more information than what we talked about last time. I'm going to start with the little spreadsheet, little tables that I handed out to you. I tried to lay it out in like easily digestible chunks so you see kind of the big picture. So I took what our anticipated unassigned fund balance was as of the beginning of this month. So the report that Amber put in the drive showed that we were roughly looking at a $1.4 million surplus. Now, that was the beginning of April. That's likely not going to maintain that exact amount. That's going to go down. But we're still looking at a point where we're going to have a surplus. So what I did, the first table with the blue label on it, I took the roughly 1.4 million, started with that total above that, and then took out each of the warrant articles that were putting money into a trust fund. So warrant article number 4, benefits expendable trust, we allocated $100,000 in there. That was approved by voters. So I reduced the 100,000 out of the 1.4 and brought it down to 1.3, and then went down subtracting the expendable trust fund amounts out of the fund balance. And then down at the bottom, I just put a number in to give you a figure to go from. I just put in $250,000 for retainage, and that brought it down to a potential surplus of $675,000 left over, so just over $500,000. And then down below from that, I put in some requests from the principals. Now, some of this was things that they initially put in their budget request back in the fall, but we had taken out to try to reduce our budget. So they were hoping to maybe get some of those things in there with surplus for the end of this year, if possible. Hill School was looking for another sensory swing. They have one, but they are looking for another. If possible, that would be great. And it's up to $3,000. If it doesn't cost that much, we wouldn't spend it. Hill and TRS, we had budgeted for a replacement cycle of the mats in the gym, which are all frayed and currently a fire hazard, but we spread it out over 3 years to reduce the budget impact. we do have an opportunity that we could potentially use surplus to just replace the whole swing of them and then not budget for those items for the next 3 years and just have it done and over with. And we think around 20,000 should cover the cost of that for both Hill and Three Rivers. Three Rivers, we had planned on taking the Wit and Wisdom materials out of the curriculum trust fund, but we could take that out of the trust fund and just pay for that with surplus, or we could keep it in the trust fund and that's fine too. PA, I know it's going to be probably controversial, but the electronic pass system, and I now have a better understanding of why they were pushing for it. So we are continuing to have a lot of issues with vandalism in the bathrooms, which is why they wanted to go to this in the beginning. I just didn't have a clear picture of why they wanted to go that route, but now I understand. We were at a point where all the bathrooms again were shut down except for the main bathrooms in the front because the vandalism was so extensive that we had to shut everything down to fix the things that were vandalized and to stop the vandalism from happening. With an electronic pass system, teachers would be able to see what kids are out of the rooms at any given moment before they allow other students to leave to go to the bathroom. The students have to check in and out on the electronic pass system, so it registers where they're at within the building. And so we're better able to identify who might be doing some of that vandalism and those kinds of things, and further restrict maybe what kids are out at the same time. Because the kids might be in different classrooms and then they all meet up. But if teachers know that so-and-so is out of one classroom, they wouldn't be sending the other student to meet up and hang out in the bathrooms.
Just a quick side on that is, like, when this occurs, are the responsible parties, are we finding the responsible parties, or is this just like, we don't know who did it?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. When it becomes, so sometimes if we see on like the surveillance videos, if there were 5 or 6 kids in the bathroom at that time, it becomes a little difficult to identify who may have been responsible for that or not, because a kid might be walking into that and had nothing to do with that vandalism, but they're associated with that group because they just happened to walk in there. There's also groups of students who we know tend to gather that end up typically causing that vandalism. So if we could prevent that gathering, that would be extremely helpful and likely prevent some of that vandalism.
So for instance, if you've got 4 kids that are in that group that you know, will this system flag it at that point in time? Like if Johnny, Jimmy, Danny, and Joe are all out of the classroom at the same time, does some flag go up and tell you, hey, you might want to keep an eye on Danny because these other 3
Yes.
Okay.
So that's part of that system. You can go in and like create these groups of kids that are not allowed to be out of assigned area at the same time.
So my biggest, I don't know, I think I would personally need more of a conversation with Mr. Hamilton before like doing something. Because my biggest thing is I get it and I understand it. And you want to stop the vandalism and you know it's certain kids and I get that. But on the same hand, I want to make sure we're thinking about the other kids who do have 504s and IEPs that is allowed to just do something with their hand and they know that they're leaving. That we're not going to be restricting
Oh,
the
we get
access
that.
that those kids need, and that we're not going to heighten kids because we don't want to be pushing them to a cleared hallway situation for no reason because we changed how they get their breaks.
That's super valid concern. Yep. So and like I said, this is not something you have to decide on tonight. But I can put this back it will be back on the docket for our May 5th meeting. And so he can certainly.
I would
speak to
just
that.
want to hear how he would handle that because I don't want us to be.
I know I became more on board as I heard more information and was able to see how that would be utilized with our most recent vandalism issues.
Can I ask do we have any idea what some of the costs are for the repairs for the vandalism?
Oh, Josh might know off the top of his head. Spot, Josh.
Can you hear me now? What about now? Very good. So I haven't charted it, and one reason I haven't charted because I don't know every instance, because of the amount of time it would take just to chart it, because of the extent of the business that is happening in there at this point in time. It's completely out of line, and quite honestly, it's been a complete burden on my crew at this point in time. There's been instances where someone might say, just as an example, how come my trash can didn't get emptied last night? And that's an extreme example. But my answer would be not because we forgot it, because my crew did project work all night to clean the bathrooms and to repair the bathrooms to get them back up to par, to be quite honest, to the situation. So when the crew who signs up to clean the building nightly now has to do project work, which is intended for school vacations, it's intended for summer vacations, it's intended for days off from school if they don't take a vacation day. When they have to do that amount of work, other things are going to get missed. And quite honestly, I've had that conversation with the deans here at Pembroke Academy multiple times recently. So with that, I haven't charted. One thing I've held off on bringing to the budget in my position for the entire time. We talked about it when I was young in the position. We've held off because there's pluses and there's minuses, but the bathrooms are going to cause us to ask in the budget to get a work order system. So the work order system would be good because you can track all that stuff. And it would save all that stuff, and it would be a push of a button to show you, the board, what we put into it, what we did to fix it, what we've done to maintain it. But what's held me off on that work order system is it's going to lose the personal relationship we have. And I believe Pembroke's at a size where that personal relationship is key to our constituents, which are our students and our staff. So when this, as a bathroom, as an example, when this happens, if we have the work order system, we're simply going to say, I'm sorry, but my crew can't go answer that until you put it in the work order. Then it's going to come through our office. We're going to assign it. And then whoever is going to go do whatever their share to it is. So that's where I'm leaning towards. Again, I've held off for 10, 12 years, but this is going to push us to the work order system because it's going to give that answer that you just asked of, well, what are we putting into it? Well, we're putting plumbing into it all the time. We're putting toilet parts into it all the time. We're band-aiding partitions that I would know in my time to still be brand new, that at this point in time, they're not brand new, but I'm the old one at this point in time. And I'm like, we just put those in. What do you mean we're putting screws in them now to hold them together? Or, selfishly, I had no custodian in the afternoon here yesterday. There was a short time frame of when the day custodian had an appointment, and we waited for the second shift to come in, and we don't always fill those holes. So I took the bathroom call, and I went into that bathroom. I took 2 steps in, I turned around, I locked it, and I sent an email saying that just is not okay. And that now becomes the project cleaning, which isn't fair to the crew.
I will say, and this isn't the first time you guys are hearing this. This has been a multi-year issue with the bathrooms being closed here, and it's just compounding over time with the amount of time, money, frustration, access issues for students and staff. And so it's been years. And so it's just compounding. And I think we're finally at the point where it sounds like they may have some kind of solution. I mean, it got to the point this year where we were considering about truly considering single stall bathrooms only across the whole building, and what it would take for that infrastructure to go from the multi-stall bathrooms to redesign them to make them single stall only, so kids could not be in more than one, like gather more than one at a time.
Marine Corps treatment. No stalls.
Only we could.
I know.
Well, and are we,
I don't,
so, okay.
there's plenty of suspensions and detentions that come through that I see because of the vandalism. So there's consequences. It's just not having an effect.
So maybe do we change those consequences? Do we, instead of having the maintenance staff, can we make it that though the kids that get caught doing these things, you have to help, after school, whatever, in the mornings, whatever it is, to get these bathrooms cleaned and back to in shape. And go ahead, Josh.
So I completely agree. Like consequences have to be a primary part of it. But what happens is in that, and it's happened a couple times recently, is so the kid, Bobby, terrorizes the bathroom. Just use that as a word. Now all of a sudden, instead of serving a detention or an in-school suspension, now is put with the facilities crew, who is in charge of, and their primary job is to clean the bathrooms. And now we're thinking they're going to be the babysitter in the situation. And in the reality, going back to Sharon, that's why we now didn't even get to that garbage can last night, because now people think we're the babysitters. And all my crew wants to do more than anything is come in here and take care of these facilities for everybody that comes and goes. And even with issues like these, they still come in with a smile. They still come in so positive, which is why if we have 21 people, we have 15 or more that are 5 years to 25 years. But that's not fair to them. So I appreciate that statement, but I'm trying to educate them out there. Like that's just not, they want to go in, we want to clean that bathroom, and then we want to go clean the classroom, and then we want to break down the school board meeting, and then once you guys leave, we want to set up for the PSATs, and then we want to clean the last public bathroom, and then they want to go home at 11 p.m. And that's the only fair thing to do.
I can't imagine though, this is where I'm stuck, that it's a large group of kids that are consistently. So I guess I would also want to know if we had the system, like, are we going to open up the bathrooms, but we're going to limit 2 to 3 and they're going to take a look at the kids that are doing it, because there should be a positive for the rest of the school body that we're not going to be, you're going to need to go run to the beginning of the building in the middle of the day to go pee because you can't pee at that one that's closed. Do you know what I mean?
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to reopen the bathrooms, but it becomes a little tricky to figure out who's all involved in it, everything when, like I said, they plan these things. They're kids. Oh, we're going to meet up in the
Say, it can't be a
bathroom
huge-
here when it's like 4 or 5 kids and they're all from different classes. Nobody knows what kids out at any classroom at any given time. So it just increases our communication within the building to be able to prevent some of these things. Are we going to prevent it all? No, because kids are kids. But it's a tool, and a relatively inexpensive one compared to the damage being done, to help prevent some of this stuff from happening.
And just to go off that, kids will be kids. We were doing things. Gene's age group way back when was doing things.
We were smoking in the boys' room.
But the thing that hasn't changed with this trend is that this trend hasn't gone away. It's things in high school and things at their age level. They're trendy. They happen. They do them for so often. Like we dealt with graffiti years ago.
Mhm.
Our role was to clean it up as quick as you can to get rid of it, because if the kid doesn't see it, they're not going to add to it. It was trendy. It was a pain in the rear when that trend was happening, but it went away quick.
Mhm.
At this point, this isn't going away, and it's a wear and tear on everyone. And so I'll defend my crew, but everybody here, it's just been a wear and tear, and the trend has not stopped.
And I think we do need to relook at, some of the consequences that the kids are getting. I think that's a fair statement. So, and I do believe some of those conversations have already been happening because I've heard some of them. I think it's just trying to find what's going to stick. So,
I just have you used a term there that they're planning this. If they can't have their cell phones out in school, this has to be premeditated at that point in time. At 11:45, we're going to meet and do this. So that's, and I mean, so it's not, the cell phone thing is working, so it's not happening that way.
I mean, it could be happening through cell phones. That was, kids are sneaky. Kids are going to be kids. Where there's a will, there's a way. But yeah, they email, and I don't know that, I don't want to falsely presume that every time they're planning to meet up, they're planning on vandalizing. I think kids get together, things happen, and it escalates because their frontal lobes aren't developed. And so they're impulsive and they make poor decisions. And when they're with each other, it becomes fun. So sometimes, yes, I'm sure there's premeditated planning for destruction, but other times I think it's just really bad decisions in the heat of the moment, and it escalates quickly.
The question I'm wondering is if the culprits are apprehended and punished, can we bill the families? I mean, I think that might be a great motivator to keep I mean, I don't know if that's
Do we not?
legal.
Yeah,
I mean, we can bill them.
I would have thought.
I don't think
did.
we have a practice of doing that.
Yeah, I mean,
We did at one point. That has not happened in recent years,
Yeah.
but at one point it wasn't uncommon for someone higher up the chain to say, if you were to charge this, how much would you charge? And it turned into, well, I'll put it on a invoice. And then we started giving the invoice, and I would charge out the hourly rate for the custodian. And then if I had to buy a faucet, I would charge for the faucet.
I don't think anything's off the consideration docket. Like,
Yeah. And I mean, if you're billing out for the hourly rate of the custodian, that's like the hometown discount. 'Cause if you had a-
$40 an hour in 2026.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you actually had to engage a plumber,
Mhm.
you know,
It costs a little more.
you could be $150 an hour minimum.
Minimum.
Minimum 2 hours when you go out
And
too.
minimum 2 hours, right? You know, so maybe we take away that hometown discount if we opt to go this way and say, hey, look at, you know, I mean, the $40 an hour too. If it's a 2 hour job and you charge, it's $80 plus materials. There's still some parents going to look at that and go,
You could even publicize a list of costs ahead of time.
I mean, I'm just thinking if we are seeing that there are some consistent perpetrators and there's a pattern, like could we add that as like the second or third consequence, like put it in like a graded scale of, okay, so you got a detention the first time, but if we see that you've done this a third time, we're going to bill you for it.
yeah, like I said, that's definitely something I'll bring that back to the admin team and see where we're at with that and what they've tried. And I'm not opposed to it by any means. So there's a little bit more to it. It sounds very easy.
Mhm.
But I'm dealing with a situation like that in Deerfield, and it's not easy.
no,
So
you're going to get a heavy duty pushback from the parents, you know, waiving it's going to put an extra burden on administration. But the motivation on the other end of it may lead to a behavioral change.
Mhm.
And it may be something that, because that behavior changes, it may be happening once or twice in September, October, you know, the early part of the year. And they say, oh, wow, this is more than just detention or suspension. This is, my parents are, you know, taking away my cell phone or, you know, and they're having to pay and I'm hearing about it every day. And it may change that behavior for the rest of the year. It's going to happen every year because you've got a new crew coming in every year at the freshman level. But that, you know, you have to reinforce it in the first few months maybe. And that's after that, maybe everything goes well in a perfect world anyway.
yeah, I'll bring that back for sure. I think this would help identify those kids. I think we have a hard time always identifying who may have been out of the room at the time.
Yeah.
So I think this would be helpful in that.
And I'm just kind of piggybacking on that, and then we can move on because I know we've kind of beat this one up.
Yeah.
But maybe that's something that gets added to the handbook that says, you know, Pembroke Academy has seen an increase in vandalism, and we are, you know, the following will be the consequences, and have them be graduated consequences. You know, like whatever, detention, in-school suspension, a bill, and then the third one, hey, instead of having the custodians have to babysit the person, mom and dad can come in, and we would require you to come in as a parent with your child and take care of the mess that they've made. I'm obviously reaching here, but you know what I'm trying to get.
You're driving a point
Parents have
home.
to come in already
Yeah.
for disciplinary hearing, you know, with information. So, I mean, that's not too far of the realm.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So moving on to the next one.
All right.
We had cut a significant amount of science supplies and some tables for their labs. So there's an opportunity here to consider, funding those things. And then obviously the saxophones that we had cut out made to list. And so these are things for your consideration. You could approve some, you could approve all, you could approve none. But just wanted you to see, like, if we fund everything potentially on this list, and if we end with roughly the same amount that we had in April with unassigned fund balance, we'd be looking at still returning over $500,000.
I'm going to add one more to this list. Cushion chairs, 12 of them. Serious? It doesn't mean we have to get rid of them. I'm just saying if you ever go online and, this is in other districts, bigger districts, they'll have this nice little, and they have their office chairs, their own room, a big desk that they all sit in front of. I mean, just the chairs with a cushion on it.
Would you like an engraved name thing too? Is that-
Well, I know
No,
some of them
I'm
have.
good with this. This is fine. No, I just,
Glad we
So
haven't.
cheap.
had-
$10.
Yeah.
this chair with a cushion on it. That's it. I don't need an office chair.
We'll get you a cushion, Gene.
This all looks good to me.
Yeah.
I think if it's the case that we can wait until the next meeting, until the numbers confirm up a little
Yeah.
bit more, I think that would be good. I have a question. I don't know if anybody knows the answer to this. And if not, that's fine. When we talk about returning money, I know how that works, right? It works in the way that such that we get the next tax bill and it's a lot lower. I'm wondering if there's a different way to do that. And I don't know if there is. I think it would be better if people got a check. And I don't know if the town can do that. But I think
I'd have to
it
get
would
back.
be
I
better
don't know.
everyone got a little check back in this economy.
I'll reach out to legal. I truly don't.
I do too, because the up and down,
It's awful.
it's terrible
And it feels better.
and it's hard to explain.
Let's just take this. That check. So if you remember the tax impact sheet, every $100,000 represents 8 cents valuation. So that check may be almost insulting when you spread it out over. That's just the, because if you just took it straight up here, $600,000 on the tax rate. So it's going to knock off 48 cents off the tax rate.
So we're going to get,
So you're going to, 48 cents off the tax rate per your, let's say you have a $500,000 house. You're going to get a $24 check back. That's basically, and it's when it looks like that. Yeah, it's great. What?
probably.
Possibly. But this just for this portion of it. So if that tax rate, that tax impact, right? So you've got 600,000, and I could be wrong here, but I'd have to get like Mark LePage and
It's 8 cents per 100.
8 cents per 100,000. That represents 100,000. Yep.
Yeah. Before you
Yep.
touch the tax rate.
And
Yeah.
no, I mean,
I know.
you pay your health insurance, right? And every year we get a little bit, everybody gets something back.
Well, and it's because we don't actually we're not actually giving money back. The town is just not, we're not getting it from the town. That's all.
It's basically a form of retaining
Yes.
to carry
Yes.
over.
Yeah, it is.
Now, that would be great if somebody would get $100 or $150 check back. And yeah.
Or it's worth the ask.
You don't. And I get that. 100%.
Or is it better to have more in your retainage and do some of the stuff that needs to be done and return less?
You just have to be careful with that because if you don't utilize that
I know you-
retainage,
I know.
you automatically have to send that all back. And so you don't want too high of an amount that
That- I know.
it really creates a.
I know. Or if you could get from the next meeting, is this it? Like, is there something else that the
This is-
preschool program really absolutely needs? Or is there some-
can't because it's an SAU
that's
program.
right. That's an SAU. We can't do that. Or is there anything else like
Professional development.
correct? Is
Possibilities.
there something else that has to
Okay.
I'm not
You
no,
want
I
to
want to
do
give
that.
money back too, but I want to make sure I agree with him. I don't want it you don't want it too high that you're creating a ripple because that's harder to then when you go to this is our budget, we've cut all this. And this is why it's higher and it's not all that everything because we gave money back because there's that confuses people.
Okay. So I will.
You know what I mean? Is
Yeah.
there
I
something
don't.
else?
We so
is
I
there something
packed-
else in the next couple of years in the music department that they wanted to do? Do you know what I mean? That they were going to start planning for that's not a that we could chip away early.
I'll talk with them again. I know that.
Or technology.
So usually we
For technology, I'm just thinking.
we have the practice of budgeting for what we need. And
I know.
so there's only so much we
I
can
know.
ask for because we budget for what we need, which is
Yeah.
how we're supposed to do things,
Yeah.
right? And so, I've asked them multiple times
Okay.
surplus needs. I will do it one more time before May just to make sure, last chance to get, things that might be necessary for kids. But I also want to be conscientious that we're not just buying things because
No.
we have it, because that's also not responsible for me as a steward to tax dollars.
I would say it would have to be something that we're trying to not have to build into a one-time operational expense in the next year or two. That would be the category that I would look at.
No, I get what you're saying. I just want us to be mindful too of not sending back too much so that we don't add to that, especially now that we have retainage, because that could be a double. That's all.
Okay. I will finalize things between now and our next meeting. If you have things that you want to see me bring back for next time, just let me know. But we probably ought to make some decisions at the first May meeting on May 5th.
I
Yeah.
think my head math would be more along the lines of $100 or
Oh.
somewhere in that area.
What about, since we're talking about, I'm having deja vu. Our non-CBA staff. Don't we usually do that in May too? We have like a rotation between we did with, right? We did our maintenance, we did this, we did our non-contract.
So
Yeah.
so I'll have to go back and look at what the raises are that you guys already approved, because you
Mhm.
already approved a set of raises for next year's budget. So whatever you allocate would be in addition to that.
Because don't we usually, isn't there usually a set we looked at in May too? Spring
You guys, so you budgeted your percentage increases for next year's budget in the fall.
and the
Yeah.
fall.
You already did it.
Why do I remember something
So
else?
sometimes if we,
Presented to us.
It was April or May. Do you know what I'm talking about, Josh? Yeah,
Yeah.
budget, right. That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, Josh's crew is number one priority for the budget this fall.
Okay.
We have to seriously address
Yep.
those salaries.
Okay, so I'm not completely losing my mind.
No, they should be all set. I can go back and look to see what percentages were. I feel like they were
I think
three.
I think he's reminding me correct. There's stuff we did in April and May that wasn't department wide. It was like certain individuals that were brought to our attention.
Sometimes they'll be like, if we hire somebody new
That's
who falls
That's what I'm-
outside of what was previously budgeted, we'd need your approval for that to go above the line that was already budgeted, or if there's like a multi-year contract. that we want to create because of a new position or something like that. So there are circumstances where we would do that. I just don't know that we have any currently.
Goodness. All right. We'll move on to E, correspondence.
So this came in recently. There's a notice of public hearing for the town of Pembroke zoning board of adjustment. So just want to make sure that you were aware of this, that there'll be a public hearing from the zoning board on Monday, April 27th at 7 o'clock at PA Auditorium. And it's to address some apartment units that there was a request to create. Looks like there'd be 4 of them.
If I'm not mistaken, I think there may be something to do with the property across the street.
That is correct.
Yeah, okay. That's part of that whole.
Yep.
That was it. I
Okay.
don't have anything else to add necessarily.
All right. F is end of year events.
So I added to the drive the kind of big year end events for all of the districts, but Pembroke's in there as well. So you can see in there when graduations or promotion ceremonies are happening, any testing windows, so like SAS, iReady, PSAT, SATs, those kinds of things, AP exams, and then some concerts, senior grad walks, awards, all those kinds of things are in there. So the big items for the end of the year, just so you guys could see all of what was going on. And if you wanted to come to anything, please don't come to testing.
No.
Because you won't
thanks.
be allowed in. But we'll put you to duty supervising children. We'll make you a proctor.
I have one thing I wanted to ask Josh, if you guys don't mind, because I thought of it the other night, if you don't mind. So I was driving in the middle of the nowhere. There was a presentation, not from our community power, from someone else. There was a presentation that was given that we signed a contract for some solar on some of the lands that was going to eventually kick back to us. Do you remember that contract, that company? Do you remember?
So we're in a community power contract. I didn't have much to do with it, but I could probably find that.
They were going to put some
quickly.
solar panels on some of our land that,
Not on our land. No,
No.
it's on land out there in the world somewhere. And
Oh.
what we do is sign on to
Okay.
recoup some of that.
Tax benefit.
Yeah.
no.
That was the issue. We were a laundering service.
It was like, a win-win situation. But yeah, when it was presented, we're all sitting there going, where are we going to put them?
Yeah.
Right.
I remember that.
right.
Um,
Well, into that question, we do have 261 panels here at Pembroke Academy, just to say that out loud again. And when we put those 261 on top of the new academic wing or the 99 wing, we analyzed the roof structures on all the buildings. And that was the only place we were comfortable putting them on, just from what we had
Okay.
facility wise or infrastructure wise already. So we do have them. We generate. In the courtyard out front, you see a green fence in the corner. That's our inverter pulling the power off the roof every single day and then sending it back into the building and going through our electrical system.
Thank you. I remember, like, within 3 years, you're going to be kicking back, right? Kicking back some. It's going to come back to you. Your costs are going to go down. And then I was like, wait, I don't remember them ever coming back after.
I believe we signed that contract and I
Okay.
believe we should be
Literally
getting a
nothing we
kickback.
needed to do.
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
It's like an okay. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Consent agenda. We did not have anything for 7 informational. We have NBC update because just if Jean wanted to share from the meeting.
So last Thursday, we had our budget committee retrospective, basically to, talk about, analyze how things went through the budget process, starting in October all the way up to school district and town meeting. It was very positive for all parties concerned. There were not any real concerns in that whole process. And there was a lot of positive feedback on the information that came from Jess and the administration to the budget committee, on your presentation at both the public hearing, at Melanie's presentation at both the public hearing and the school district meeting. Very positive. Again, it brought it down to earth. As far as your presentation goes, people were very understanding when the information was presented. As for Jess, when she was asked a question at those meetings, and I think you went to 3 of them, I believe, altogether. Anyway, there were rare instances that you didn't have the information, but in those cases, you were almost immediate within the next day or two of providing them with the answers to those questions. And you were more prepared than for your informationals with the budget committee than the administration had been in the past. Very positive and upbeat. And my notes just went away. Sorry. Second. Couple of things that were brought up by Jerry, since he's a trustee of trust funds right now. We have our capital reserves, and one of the things he would like to see, and I think everyone would like to see, it would be beneficial to all of us as school board members and the public. When we see the balances in those capital reserves also include our goal number, our cap number in the future, whether it's in the description or in another column. I think the description would be the best place because they were talking about adding a column at the end or something like that. So that was a request. And if you remember, during the meetings, during the public hearing and the school district meeting, there was some confusion as to the names of the warrants. So
Look at all those.
Jerry has gone through now and done it with the state and
Okay,
all
good.
this stuff.
That's where.
Okay, good.
So when we do our warrants next year, we have to make sure that the warrant article we put down in paper that is going to go out to the residents to look at matches the report that is in the town report.
Yep.
So people can correlate and say, okay, yes, this is, the building capital reserve fund, and this is the, site improvement fund. There's no difference in language, so we don't have those questions in the future.
Makes sense.
And then the other one, and this probably falls to you somewhat, Josh, is we're going to use the track, for instance, right now, because that's going to be a project that's starting up. So you're going to request from the trustee of trust funds a dollar amount. Now, the total dollar amount, I think, was $450, $495. $495 doesn't exceed $495, but you may go to the trustee of trust funds, the trustees, and say, I need $250,000 for that warrant article. So at that point in time, that money gets issued, but they don't have a way of tracking whether the project's complete or only partial. So you're going to have to come back with more. Okay, go ahead.
So they should have a way, because every year I report back to David on all the projects. So to start the CIP for the year, we say we need $5 for whatever.
Mhm.
And then the town votes on it. And then fast forward from March to either May and June. Now I come to you and I say, next year, this is next year's CIP. We're going to talk about it now, because come August, you know, a lot of things happen between that time, and we need to make sure you guys hear it first before we present it to the CIP. And then in the middle of that, we start closing out our numbers from last year and putting them in those columns as we send our final CIP over to David. So there, the close up, the starting number might say $5, but the closing number the year after, once you close out, might say $4.50.
In that, and I think that's his concern. He would more like to see it in during the process as well. So when you come for that first, when you ask for that first outlay of money, yeah,
Not to cut you off. So the track was different only because, at least in my, I can only speak for my time. It was the only thing I've asked for that we didn't already have the funding for. So when I asked for $10 for a roof, I don't have to wait for that deposit, or I don't have to ask for 5 of it this year to not burden the taxpayer, and then 5 of it next year, and then next year it get turned down, and then come back for 5 more the following year, because we already have that $10 in the roof. So as long as it gets passed, I just go do the roof, and then I come back and you guys request the funds, and we pay those funds out. The difference with the track is I can only do the track during the summer, which is the worst time for money wise for a school district because it's done in June. We're starting the closeout procedure in the beginning of May, and we didn't have that money. So the track number was always 450,000. I talked about it to you guys and to the taxpayers for years and years at 450. So when it came to actually ask for that money, we got half of that 450 2 or 3 years ago, and then we had a year or two where we didn't get the half. And then we had the moment this year and said, well, we better put a contingency in there because we've used 450 for 10 years. So we got that money. We got the other half of that, call it, to get to the 495, which put us to the 500s of that column. So I couldn't do anything until that money was already allocated in there, which now you have to wait till December when official deposits hit. So as I said to Amber just last week, we talked about it again. This one's done completely backwards from the way we would process this on any other thing, because I would never ask for half a roof and then the other half, because we've already gotten past that point in our world. Things were done so backwards back when. We're way beyond that as a group because we're planning. We're putting a little bit away every year so that when I come to you this year, which I'll do next meeting, I'll say, look, now it's the time for next year will be some roofs. There will be some computers, camera stuff. There will be whatever is listed already there, and the funds are already there. Only in this track instance, the funds weren't there, and we had to ask for it, ask for it, wait. Now it's officially been deposited. Now we can create a purchase order, and now we have to roll that purchase order, which is the last thing we really want to do.
So I think I probably used the wrong example there, because this was that was not brought up at all. I just used it as the example right now. And that was his concern is, like the project itself. Let's talk about a roof now or something else.
Yep.
And when the money's outlaid, the money's outlaid, I think he was looking for more of a thing. Okay, this is all the money I'm going to need, or I've got to come back to it. So that was, again, the track off the table here, because that was not mentioned. I just used that off the top of my head for an example, if it was going to happen in stages. And I think that's what they want to know earlier than later.
Yeah. So
Does that make sense?
historically, like I get what he's asking. Historically, like my job is to come to you guys once for that money. If I miss it, if I short sell that job by $5, part of my job some days is figuring that out. Like I would never come back to you and say I short sold that unless we were in a true situation, which is why it's so important to establish the relationships we have out there to get working numbers, to put those on those CIP lists. So that's like that's my job. I can't come to you and ask for $10 for a roof and then say, oh, darn, a month later said, I'm sorry, I need $5 more. I got to figure that out. But what I think what he's also saying is, yeah, sometimes we put money down. So we might, on some things, we might put 50% down. We might give them 10%. We might pay throughout the process. But those historically have been the bigger jobs. Those are like the bathroom reno at the Hill School, which was almost a couple hundred at the time. And that was a job where past people in positions sold it as $10 and we came in, inherited the job, and we're like, whoa, it's not only not $10, it's not $20, it's $40.
Yeah.
So we haven't been in that situation. I can appreciate it. We just, again, my job's to sell it to you, and I got one shot with you, and I definitely have one shot with the taxpayers. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a taxpayer. If someone's telling me I'm spending $5 and tomorrow they're coming and they're saying, you approve that $5, but now I need 10, I'm not doing my job. And
Yeah.
we're going to have different discussions.
And I think it was more upon there was I don't want to state this as fact, but there was something years ago. And again, what we're talking about right here was not just school district specific. It was also aimed at the town as well. I think they just want to know when that outlay goes out, if this is the total amount at that point in time, or are you going to be coming back to look for more? That's and not more over the warrant, but more, if we budgeted 100 and you only needed 85, is it done at that point in time? Or are you going to come back for the other 15? Not to go over the 100, but to stay, so they know where it is.
So I can speak that example this year. I hear you now. So we had 140 for the gym roof here at Pembroke Academy. We did it for whatever it was, 90 or whatever. And again, we're working with estimations. We're working with calculated figures. We definitely saw the market stabilize on the roof level this year, which allowed me to come back and say, hey, I just want to present to you. We have these, I think it was five small roofs that we don't have identified. They're not big roofs. They're garages, they're barns. There's 40 extra from what was approved for roofs. Are you guys okay if I spend some of that to go and put on those shingle roofs? And we did that. I think that's exactly what he's saying. And
100%.
that's where we didn't, we asked for 140. We did, I think it was 99, and we didn't close that out right there. We opened the discussion at your level, and it could have been closed that night and everybody would have been happy. It was not closed that night. We put another 25 into the district. They voted on it. And it's when you get into that specific verbiage, it's not like we could ever take that extra 40,000, call it, and go buy cars and go buy books. It could only be on roofs. And we said, hey, this is what we have. Shame on us or not, they're unidentified roofs, because in our world, they're really just peanuts there.
Yeah.
We see an opportunity to get them, and now we're closing it, and we still came in under that 140.
Yeah. And it wasn't anything to do. I think it goes back to an invoice that maybe got double paid at some point in time, where it came out of a trust fund, and I don't even think it was facility oriented. I think it was something else. And it was just like, it came out of a trust fund. Let's, whatever that trust for technology, whatever the case may be.
Gene, it may have been, so if we purchase things like mid-year, but we know we're going to take it out of trust, we pay that and we apply it to a line in our budget. And so I'm wondering if at some point it got applied to the line, but not taken out after the public hearing to do I think now listening to you, I think I know what Jerry's talking about. I've talked with Jerry about that. I think there's been a history of not utilizing some of our trust funds.
Yep.
And just applying them to lines, and then not doing the public hearings at the end of the year to withdraw down those trust funds. And so or sometimes, maybe there was a situation where it got paid out of the budget and paid out of the trust, but it didn't get corrected in the proper way.
Yeah.
It didn't happen this year. I can't speak to it this
And
year, but I'm wondering
That
if that might have
definitely
been-
has happened with
Yeah.
past past boards, for lack of better words. When they get to
Yep.
their point in time, they just say, we're not going to trust it. We have some leftover funds and we're going to apply them there.
Yeah.
So,
And it wasn't, it wasn't anything, you know.
but
I think
that's
it was
what
just
we
a lot
like
more
about Jerry.
oversight. of.
That's what we appreciate about Jerry. And I say that
Yeah.
meaningful because he truly cares. And, our job is to be able to answer the questions. And if we don't have people asking those questions, we work for the public. Like, what are we doing? So I truly appreciate that.
So, yeah, that was just a comment, a concern, I guess. And not, again, not started up by anything that has recently happened. So, the other thing, when we put out the warrants, we annotated them this year. We explained what they were for, and they would like to see that moving forward. The explanation of the warrant, why we're asking for it, that kind of breakdown.
What are they talking about?
The explanations that we had early on when the warrants were presented.
Oh, okay.
All right, we actually, the warrant
Yeah.
was listed and then there was
Okay.
in English an actual explainer
Yeah, exactly.
as opposed to in warrant language.
They would like to see that keep moving forward. The one other thing, and I could have sworn it happened, but on our Facebook page or our website or whatever, there was no thank you to the town for supporting the school budget.
That's not true.
I don't, they just showed
On
me,
our Facebook page?
they showed me, I didn't see it. They just showed it to me and I looked at it and I didn't see it there. But
There was on all the Pembroke pages.
yeah, but on ours, it just like ends at the meeting thing. So I swore I saw it. Okay.
It was there. Because I did it under my own name and I got mutilated, so I deleted it.
And whether and I kind of said this too, whether you supported the budget or you voted against the budget, you still have to support the budget. And I think moving forward, you just have to ensure that, it was there. I know I saw it.
It was.
But, we have,
I
that's
posted
something
it
we have to make
myself.
sure. So,
Yep. And I typed it myself as myself, but
maybe
Pembroke
that's what they-
Speaks in another one was really negative towards me and kept going on and on, so I deleted it. So,
that was
I'm not gonna
that was just
engage.
brought up.
well, that's too bad because I did go out of my way.
I know, yeah, we've seen it, but again, you deleted it, so.
It's on all the other pages.
Okay,
I took it off. Yep. Yep. All of them. Or live here. Or live in the town.
Maybe we need a Pembroke School Board thanks the budget committee page.
Sure.
I'm joking.
But feel
So-
free if you hear anything else, they can
I just want to
definitely
bring in
email me.
These are the things that was just, that were brought up.
It was a very heartfelt, very nice message.
Yeah.
Hopefully they saw that.
To send a personalized email.
I can send a card.
That brings us to our next topic of discussion, again, for both the school district and that goes, the thank you thing again was also for the on the town side. It wasn't just the school district.
Okay.
These are pretty much all, our warrants. Yes, they asked the town to start doing that as well as far as the warrants go. And, the capital reserves, these were pretty much across the
Oh,
board
good.
for everybody. Coming up, to get more people out there and more people coming to the meetings.
Yeah.
I know we used One Call Now, but that only goes to,
We talked about this.
yeah. So the town email list, trying to figure out how to get, people have to sign up for it. There used to be years ago, a town report that came out quarterly. I swear when I first moved here, it came out monthly, but nobody agreed with that. But anyway, an email list that can blast it out to remind people of the public hearings, of the school district and town meetings moving forward. So we, and maybe to get them the information out there. And I'm of the mind, yeah, we can do that. And again, I said this in the meeting, but at what point in time, to use Andy's favorite term, are we just spoon feeding everything constantly? We can only do so much. But, and those were the other options. The email list, I'm sure we could probably figure it out between us and the town to get that information out there. But they were looking for other options because only old people use Facebook now. And, so the younger people are, I don't know, on Twitch, or, I don't know what it is.
I don't either.
Threads.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know. I hear Twitch all the time on the Sports Hub. They talk about it. Or X, or whatever the heck it is. All right. But anyway, no, I'm picking on I'm
So-
Belichick on the social.
Can we have a meeting with the town, like, eventually
But
on
that was
this?
another.
Well, I think we need to have like a meeting with the town, or maybe Jess and I, or Jess or something, because Allenstown's doing it, but the town and the school are doing it together. They have a database of the phone numbers that pushes out, and it doesn't matter if you have a kid in the school or not.
Town does. Yep.
They came together and set up a system by email and by phone number that gives them, hey, reminder, our dump is opening May 2nd, and it goes to every Allenstown resident. So we should be able to do the same thing in Allenstown School District and Allenstown Town. Or what do they have? They have the same thing, Select Board. They did it together for their town. So there should be a way we can do something similar in Pembroke.
I think Joe
Dave,
would be your best resource on that.
And I'm sure they could reach out to Allenstown and find out what platform they use to do that.
Connect with Dave.
And then the other part of that conversation was, when the one call goes out, one call now goes out, it goes to all the parents that have kids in the school district.
Mhm.
Is there a way to retain the parents whose kids have aged out, retain those numbers in the system? So they still get the one call now, even though their kids are no longer in the school,
Maybe.
I
Right.
did get everything. This
Yeah, so there's-
2-hour
If you
delay.
can, like, separate in that respect.
I'll have to look. I'll look at what our system can hold.
Yeah, so that was,
Yep.
that was
I'll look at what our
part of
system.
it. Suggestion, an option possibly. And then,
I know.
yeah.
Feedback is good.
I
And a lot of it was good feedback. So
it's,
I'll take it.
it's moving forward feedback,
Yeah.
basically. It was really nothing negative, just trying to move forward and keep things going and get more and more out there, keep more and more people involved. And then we talked, briefly about the retainage we just talked about.
Mhm.
And I basically said at that point in time, we don't know what we want to hold in there. And obviously the whole thing goes back, and we also talked about the surplus, how much to give back, because we want to see the tax rate nice, like a gentle slope without a lot of peaks and valleys in it, and that was something that, when we talk about the surplus number we saw and the retainage, we have to remember that retainage hits another year in advance.
Mhm.
So when we're having a discussion now, we have to be thinking even further out. So it was just, a brief part of the discussion. So, and that's about it.
Can I go back to the retainage with a quick question for Josh? You mentioned the the repairs that were needed in the bathrooms. And I was just wondering, are there any additional pieces of equipment or infrastructure you need within the bathrooms? Like, do you need to replace any panels in the stalls?
Not really. I mean, we have them all holding together. At some point, we could look at the bathrooms we haven't touched, but I would put that back onto my crew and just say they're amazing, and they do a phenomenal job keeping those bathrooms operational.
Okay, well, you have the opportunity as well to put in a request if we need to put in, get some additional panels for some of those stalls.
For sure.
You're good. Any questions for Jean on the NBC retrospective? Okay. Thank you, Jean. 8, we have policies.
We haven't really spoken about this, but they're kind of not controversial. I would say on the second reading, the fraud prevention, fiscal risk management, and I apologize, I wasn't here last meeting, but was there a thought to have both that one and payroll have the business office weigh in on these?
Only having Amber review all of the D policies on there. Those policies all came out of the audits that we've had done as required. And so I have her doing a bit of a crosswalk to make sure that whatever language we have in there matches what the auditors wanted to see.
And the JEA, just these are the because it's not in the folder. But the JFAB, those are the two we looked at this afternoon.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Right. So just so that everyone's aware, these are the two that Jess mentioned at the top that we've kind of asked her to take them, mush them, rewrite them so that we have one set of policies that cover these things under a new open enrollment world. So that's forthcoming, I think is what I would say.
They're in the current Pembroke policies folder.
Oh, I'm looking in the updates one. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Oh,
under
there it
this
is.
meeting.
Got it.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Super. So those are to be announced.
Yeah, they're all in process.
No action on those. And we'll make sure these hit our next meeting. Ready for some of those? Okay. All right, number 9, public comments. We have no members of the public, so we're going to skip public comments. Our next school board meeting is May 19th. No,
Is it?
it is not May 19th. It's May 2nd.
I think that's,
Fifth.
Just look down at that.
yeah.
It's like,
it was
wait,
It would be Tuesday, May 5th at 6:30 in the Pembroke Academy Library. And anything else? No, we can go into non-public. Okay. The board has the need to go into non-public under NHRSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, under the small letters A, B, C, and J. A is the dismiss, J, sorry. A, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee or the disciplining of such employee or the investigation of any charges against him or her. B is the hiring of any person as a public employee. C is matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the board. And J, consideration of confidential, commercial, or financial information. On a roll call vote to go into non-public at 7:57. Sharon,
yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
and I'm a yes.